Hello and welcome to the second part of my building house blender tutorial. In this one we will build doors, windows, put textures, lighting, and start our first rendering. Before we do that, last time we have finished with putting a roof on one half of the house, so we will finish the second part just to repeat a couple of interesting tricks from last time. I'll start with Shift D, duplicating the object, press X to limit movement in the X direction, and I will put it on the exact position where I want it. I like to make sure it exceeds the perimeters of the house, so I might need to expand it a little bit, and in fact I can put face over here. Okay, it was this one. In fact I can delete those edge loops because I don't need a window in this part. Now I would like to take this edge and I'd like to go to normal mode and move it over here. Now I will select the first floor, turn this off, quickly insert a couple of loops, I'll hide this half, go to side view, in wireframe mode, select those vertices, top view, solid mode, retopo all, select this part and turn off retopo, and I like to go back to global just to make sure I'm moving properly. So this was quick and it already looks nice. Now we can go to the door as I promised. We'll select everything but hide everything but the ground floor, and I'll move my 3D cursor over here. I'll select vertex in this corner, Shift S, put cursor to selection, go back to object mode, top view, and I will space add mesh cube, which is a basic shape from which I'm going to start. And I'll start building frame. So it will look something like that. Those two I will put on 0, and those I will move up. Extrude over here. I'd like to do it from top view so I know where I am. Put that to Z0. Oh, this is in relative, so I can move it to 0 like that. So this is my frame. I can press hash to go to local view, so I'm only seeing this object, and this is my frame. I'll put door inside. So I'll do add, and I'll add another cube. I'll do a very basic door for now, and I can change it later on. if I'd like to select only this door and I have multiple separated geometries inside the object, what I can do is I can move my cursor above one vertex and press L to select all linked. So I can, for example, now select B and do Alt B to unselect this part, and I can move that. If I would use box select instead, I might have a risk that I will select parts of the frame as well. So this is my basic door. Now I will be duplicating this door to the other places. I have two ways to do it. Obviously I can do Shift D to duplicate the object, but then I'm duplicating the mesh as well. I'm creating new mesh. So when I then change this mesh, this door, the other door stays the same. And this is not what I want, because I like to have all the doors the same. So instead of Shift D, I'll press Alt D, and this way I will create new object but link to the same mesh. So when I then work with geometry, you can see that I am working with both meshes at the same time. So if I move one vertex, I'm moving it in both objects. So I'll name this mesh door, and I'll name the object door 1, and from top view I can now do Alt D and rotate, and I'll press Ctrl to move in steps and move it where I want it. Now I can Alt D again. This one is wider, so I can scale it in Y direction. Alt D, and I will continue like that and put doors to all places where they belong. So I will stop over here and I will get back when all doors are on their positions. I have duplicated link objects around the ground floor, and I decided I will start putting textures on the scene, and so I can put lights and start our first render, otherwise it will everything get a bit gray and messy. So I'll select a ground floor and I'll go to the material shading tab. I'll add new, and I will call it outside because I'll have another material for inside. I'll make it white, and in shaders, if I would have reflectivity 1, this would be white as a paper, so I would like to do it a bit less. It's good to look for a reference outside of the window, for example, and look at the little sphere here, and I would make it perhaps 90% or 95, 94, that's okay. And I will turn specularity down because I don't have any specular on walls. I might edit some texture, so I'll go into texture, add new. I will call this texture, I'll go into texture tab and I'll name it here. I will name it, I'll turn it to this wall finish, and I'll name it same way. I'll say it's wall out, hard noise, and I will map the input to cube, map to normal, and I will, in global coordinates, I will repeat it 10 times in each meter, because for me 1 unit is 1 meter, so I will repeat pattern 10 times in each meter, and I will increase the normal. I like to see it looks. So I'll start with that, and then I'll see once I'll render how it looks. Now I will go for the door, and there I will add some material as well. I'll call it door. I will make it brown, so somewhere here. Probably darker. More yellow, yeah. That looks like it. And can change it later. Obviously it's easier to look for some material libraries to get some real material. And now I'll turn specularity down. I will leave reflectivity to about 0.8, and I would add some texture, or a couple of procedural textures, or just an image, then I can forget about the color. I can do that later on. Now I'll work on little details for the door, because it looks very basic right now. So I will go to local view, and I might just go Control up to zoom it to the whole screen. Edit mode, and I will add 2 loops over here, and I will add 4 loops over here. I'll move them around a little. Okay, and I'll now go to face select mode, select those 2 faces, and extrude them inside. I'll select those 2 other faces and extrude them inside as well. So it looks like this now. Now I will add a handle to the door so I can open it. So I will go to object mode, and I can create handle separately and then merge it with the object. I can create it either by creating mesh of L shape and subsurface it, make it smooth, or in this case I have chosen to make a curve. I'll take Bezier curve and move it around, scale it down a little, rotate. I'll rotate that one, rotate that one as well. And extrude. Now I'll create another curve which will create a profile, which is a circle I will create, and I'll scale it down, move it out, and I'll scale those 2 in Y direction to make it like this, and I will call this object bevel. This is temporary name, I will delete it, and I'm going to, in edit mode, bevel this curve with the name of this object. So now I can scale this one to create the size I like, and I can finally move it around a little. And I would like to turn this curve in the 3D curve, and I will move this one up like that and rotate it. In fact, I will not move it up, I'll just rotate it. So it just looks like a nice handle to me. I will go and I'll do Alt C and convert this to mesh, so I can delete this one now, and I can close this hole in here right now in edit mode. So I could do extrude, scale 0, and I will leave it like that. So I will just remove doubles, and I might scale this one down or up, but I will leave it technical like this. I can change this later on. So this is my handle. I need to scale it down. And move it to the right place. I have the object center on the wrong place, so I would just put the center to the center of the object, so it'll make it easier to work with this. Now I will duplicate the object, and now I will I like to mirror the object in the around the X, not around the X, around Y. So let's do it again. Control M, Y, like that, and move it. Now I will select those two handles and the door. Important is to select door as the last thing, so it becomes the active object. And now I'll press Ctrl J to join selected meshes. I will join the door object. If I would select the handle as the last thing, I would be joining door to the handle. I want to do it joining handle to the door. So if I look at all the other doors, they suddenly have handle as well. Now the handle looks, it's made from wood now, so I don't like that. I like to change that. So I will go to edit mode, make sure nothing is selected, point and handle L to select everything that is linked, and I will create new object and assign all selected vertices to that object, and I will create this object. I will name it steel, and I will make it gray, and I will make it a little specular, a bit more reflective. So this is my steel handle. Now the same way I created the door, I will now create windows, and then I will be adding glass to the windows. So I will pause over here, and I'll get back to you right before I start adding glass, because I will show you how can I make it look transparent even in the edit mode, and how I'll start playing with the ray tracing features and mirroring of the glass. I have created a couple of windows and I'd like to go and finish them with you now. So I'll select window, go to local view. I have one part of the frame with wrong material, so I'd like to set this material to that material. What I will do is I'll select this part of a frame that has got a correct material, and I will click on this question mark here, which will set the active material to the material of the selected face. So you see now it changed to door, which is my wooden frame. I'm having doors and windows the same material in my house. So I can now select this frame here and assign new material to those selected faces. I could also use the other way around, so I could select material and then I can select all those faces that have that material. So for example, glass in this case. Glass, we will need to set up the alpha to 0, and I'd like to make it look like window even in edit mode, so I can go to the object mode and object tab and draw extra transparency, so I'll draw transparent. So now when I'm setting the alpha here, it will be modified based on from solid to completely transparent based on what alpha I set. And very nice effect, realistic effect I will get by turning on the ray mirroring and ray transparency. This is for ray tracing I will have to use. For mirroring I will use 0.3, and I will use the same for the transparency filtering, so I could see a bit of glass material. I'll use for mirroring depth 2 is fine, and fresnel I'll leave on 0. For transparency I will set the index of refraction to 1.55. I will increase depth a little bit, which is going to increase my rendering time, but that's fine. And Fresnel I'll set to 1, and I'll need the Fresnel blending factor to default. So they should be fine. I will see what it does when I do some rendering. Now I will set my ceiling to the same material which is outside. So I have on ground floor, and I will do the same for my first floor outside. So I have my house. Now I will create, for lighting I will create a sky dome which will simulate global illumination. So in object mode I will create mesh icosphere, subdivide 3 is fine. I'll scale it up. Z I want it to see through. I'll move it down. And I will select bottom part of the sphere and delete that. And I will press Ctrl A to apply scale and location, which I will later need for doing dupliverts. And I'd like to also select this vertex on top and do Shift S, put cursor to selection, and then in object mode I'd like to set my cursor center to cursor. Now I will add lamp, and I will create spotlight, and I will call this object sky dome, and I will call my lamp sky. In object, I could do it in lamp as well. For lamp, I will set the light a little blue, so it will simulate color generated by sky without sun. So if you observe outside, everything which is in shadow is a little bit bluish. So I always have problems with digital cameras to do color correction. And I'll set the energy down to about 0.01, and I will adjust it later on. But I'll set it very low because I will have lots of those lights duplicated by the sphere. And I'll probably need to increase distance a little so it reaches the house. So I will set it to about 35. And now I will select lamp and then select the sphere, and Control P, make parent. I'll just make sure before I do it, I'd like to make double sure. Control A, apply scale and location, and then do it. Control P, make parent, and then in here I will turn on dupliverts, and I will turn on rotation. Obviously they are rotated wrong direction, but this is known because the sphere is always facing outside, so I like the sphere face inside. So I will go in here and flip normals. I have flipped the normals, but I didn't flip the duplies since I'm in the editing mode. I need to escape to object mode, and you will see that all the lights are now pointing inwards as well. I will set my sky dome to be transparent, so I'll add to shading panel, and I'll add new material and call it sky dome, and I'll set alpha to 0. I'll also go to object panel and set drove type to wireframe, so I can see through regardless if I'm in wireframe mode or solid mode. I can still see through, but there is still lots of lines and geometry, so it's quite messy, so I like to still turn it off. The most obvious way is turn off the whole layer in here. The danger of doing that is that if you forget to turn it on before rendering this layer, those lights will not be illuminating the scene, so the scene will be quite dark. So I like to keep it on because I often forget to do that. I'll use something more intelligent. I'll go here in the outliner and I will search for the sky dome. You can either search or scroll. The easiest way is if my sky dome is active, I just put my mouse here and press dot on the keyboard, and I will zoom in the active object. So there are 3 little icons here. The first one will restrict visibility in the 3D view. So I will still render, it's still there, I just don't see it. It's quite useful, especially for sky dome or for those busy objects that will prohibit you to see other things on the scene. This second icon will mean that you cannot, it will prohibit you to select the object. So if I click in here, if I would have this turn on, it'll select the sky dome. So if I like to select the house here and I'll click here, it will select the sky dome, and I don't want to do that, so I will just press this in here and I will not be selecting the sky dome anymore. This is quite useful especially when you work in the interior, when your house and walls are finished. So you will turn this off for the walls and for everything which is fixed, which stays still in place, and that you don't want to move it. And when you work with your furniture and you like to move it around and change it, that you will not by accident move your walls and damage your model somehow. That's very useful, this one. And I will keep both off now. The third button means it will disable rendering for this object, but I like to keep it on for the sky dome, since I like lights to illuminate my scene. So I'll set my camera now, space add camera, and in this right view in here I'll press 0 to show the viewfinder of my camera. I'll set the view that I like to see through the camera in here. Camera works in perspective, so I press 5 on the numerical keyboard to get perspective view, and I will fine adjust the view that I'd like to see through the camera. Okay, so this is what I like to see. So now in this view I press Ctrl Alt 0, and it will set my active camera exactly to what I saw in this 3D view. It's a useful shortcut. It's also more useful if you don't forget to press this 5 on the numerical keyboard, otherwise it'll be slightly different. But I like to hit it again because when editing it's much easier to work in orthonormal mode. For the camera I will turn on Passepartout, so I see what I see through the scene, and I can press G here to put it in the place. I can also move the camera in here, move it further or closer. Okay. And this is ready. My camera is in here, lights are there, objects in here, so I can just save it. Press F12 to do my render. My first render. And I can see right away that the scene is too dark, so I will be increasing energy of my sky dome. I'm seeing little artifacts in here, so I might be increasing the spot size and blending a little bit. And I'll also introduce sun coming from this side, so I'm getting a little bright scene. I'd like to also make a little dark here in the corners so it looks a bit more realistic, so I'll turn on ambient occlusion and set it so it makes it darker, not the other way around. Otherwise I could have used it for global illumination as well. And I'll create some grass under so it's not hovering in the air. So let's turn it off and start with the light. So I'll increase energy 3 times, 0.03. Okay, I'll increase the spot size to 50. This will be 0.2, increase it a little bit as well. I need to turn off my shadows, so this was one of the reasons why there were those little blurred lines as well. And I might decrease my distance a little bit because it was coming a little too far. Okay. Now in the world here I'll turn on ambient occlusion. So 6 samples. I will do it about 40 centimeters. Subtract but 1 is too much. I'll set the energy to 0.2. We'll see what it does. I'll add sun, space, add lamp, sun. So for this one I'd like to see the sky dome again. I'll rotate it so it's pointing to my house. Okay, I'll make distance bigger, so I make it 70, energy increase 1.5, and I'll make it a little yellow, not too much because I don't want my walls to be yellow, but just a little bit. It's probably too much. Okay. So sun is there, and let's insert grass as well. Space, add mesh plane, scale. I'd like it to exceed the sky dome, which I can now turn off again. And I like to put it down, so I will G grab. In fact, I will in the object mode zero this down. I'll add material, add new, grass. Grass is not specular, and I'll add texture, call it grass. I'll make it green just for the render, just for the 3D view, but I will add this texture in here, which will be image. I'll load it somewhere in textures. There'll be some GGG grass. This one, that's just nice picture. It looks like this is about 50 centimeters times 50 centimeters, so I will need to put it twice in each meter. So I will, in here, map to cube global. It means it will be, the size will be in global units, so I will set it twice for each global unit, and it is mapping to color. Okay, that's it. And I might also like to increase the reflectivity of the walls, so I'll do 0.98, and I'll try render again. So this looks a bit weird, like if it's not belonging to the grass. So I will just check I'll check the sun. Okay, I need to turn on ray shadows here, and try it again. Okay, I like it. It looks nice. I think the grass is a little too bright. I might there it is. I might make it 0.7, and I'll add the roof to the house as well. So just add roof. I need to close those gaps in here. So what I do is select those top and I'll extrude them, Z, move them in here, and I will scale them in Y direction to 0. Enter. And this is done. Now I would like to do the same for the others. Those extrude region, and I will snap it. So I have to Shift Tab, turn on my snap tool, and then G, snap it to here. And I will do the same for this here as well. Extrude, snap, and I will do it here as well. Now those walls are not exactly aligned because in the previous part of tutorial I was moving this, so I will now move it back. I'll just grab G, I might adjust this over here, but I think it's fine for now. It doesn't cause any problems. Extrude, snap to this one over here, and now I can scale Y 0, scale Y 0 in here as well, and finally scale Y 0. So hopefully they are in the right place in the middle, because they were coming, the roof was having the same angle from both sides, but if not I could have just adjusted from the right view. So I'd like to remove doubles, and so the wall is done. The roof, I will work on the roof. I'll extrude up a little, and I'd like also to, in fact I will select those faces in here. And I will extrude it a little up. and I move the wall inside, the roof inside, I mean. Okay, I forgot I've extruded that already, so I select both edges and move them inside. So it looks like this now. I will texture the roof. So I'll make sure the roof is selected. Add new shader, call it roof, make it grayish, but it doesn't matter, it's just for the render, for the 3D view, and I will add texture, roof, again image, I will load image in textures. I'll take this one. So this is one tile, this is about 25 centimeters. So what I will do, I will put it again to global, and I will make it 4 times in each meter. And save it, and I will try render. I just shift P just to do this little part in here, just to see the tiles. Okay, I think they are too bright. So I will go to texture, and I will, here in colors, set it a little darker, and also increase contrast a little. About right. And I have also prepared or imported from my finished house this window in front, so I will not spend time in this tutorial to do that. I'd like to also make, before I do the final render and finish this tutorial, I will put some floor in here so I don't see grass through. So I have hidden all the vertices, or all the edges in this case, that were selected. So I can do it again. Box select everything on top, and H to hide it. Now I have this bottom part only, and now I can just do it like this. F to create face. F. Just delete this one. Did it wrong. I'll select those faces and I'll edit new material, assign it to it, and create new material calling parquet. Again, I'll texture it. Image. I have it in here. So this looks like 1 meter. So I will leave the scale. Even though I will set it to global. Leave the scale as it is. I'd like to turn on in here specular a little so they're shiny like that. So these are gonna be my parquets in the ground floor. And as a last piece in here, I don't like those this gap, so I just close it down. I move this grass a little down, so it's not on the same. It's not occupying. It's not overlapping with the parquets. It would make funny patterns. So let's start our rendering. Okay, it's finished. So it's starting getting shape. I will terminate the tutorial over here. What I would do next is to put a roof on this top part, put some Cooper material on this edge in here, do some texturing on the chimney, put railings in here, garage doors, and work around the house, and I can work on exterior as well, but it will be just taking time and there'll be nothing new, so I will stop it over here and I will make one more tutorial where I will do a little bit work on the interior. So I hope you liked it, and stay tuned for the final part 3.